beautiful collectors and Transformer fans. It's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Earthrise Deluxe Class Quintesson ALLICON. Now, we kind of took a look at this figure with that Hasbro Pulse Quintesson Pit of Judgment set. We got the Bailiff in that, and the ALLICON is a slight retool and recolor of that figure, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. But for the packaging, as you can see, you got that nice open window, Transformers text, Generation logo, you got the Earthrise thing, Quintesson ALLICON, and then you got a really cool image of him here on the side. Come around to the side of the package, and you got that classic image of the Ark crashing down to Earth. Come around to the back of the package, you see he transforms in 14 steps. Got him in his robot, as well as his beast mode. A little bit more light in terms of things. I mean, this kind of looks like purple, whereas that's gray. So, slight color variation, obviously, between the two, but like even got like purple here in the legs, which you don't have there. That's kind of interesting, but who cares? It still looks good. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the ALLICON opened up out of its packaging and in his alligator-ishy mode. Now, the interesting thing that I find about this is that we got a remolded and recolored version of him in that Quintesson Pit of Judgment, but that was the Bailiff. What's interesting, though, is the Bailiff wasn't featured in that 86 movie. They weren't shown really until season 3. The ALLICON here is what we saw in the film. So it's interesting that they decided to give us this as a regular retail release. I guess it makes sense because it's going to be easier to get these guys, but it just didn't match up, I guess. It's weird. But we did take a look at this with that set, and I do really like this one as well. The color looks great on it. It really does have a very nice cartoon-accurate look to him. And he does have some remolded parts like I talked about. Which, again, when I go back and look at that Bailiff, I do appreciate the fact that they changed some things with it. But, I mean, he is a very simple figure. So here he is, and here is the Bailiff. Obviously, you can see the colors are fairly different. Instead of a pretty normal green, this is a much more olive green. There's a lot more darker elements, like, for example, when you look at the tail section, that has that brown bit coming in, whereas this has that green. Obviously, the weapons are different as well, which, again, was really nice. This is his. It's got this little axe sort of thing, whereas the ALLICON just comes with this spear. So again, nice that we get different weapons. And then the remolded parts, as you can kind of see, the shoulder bits here have been remolded. These have that kind of spire sort of looking spike bit. These just have the regular spikes. The heads are also different, which I thought was interesting to kind of note. The lower section is the same, but the upper section has been remolded. You can kind of see it primarily like right here with this piece. That's an extra little raised bit, whereas this one doesn't have that. And then you can also see that this has more of that scale sort of pattern, whereas this one doesn't. So that's nice to see, again, that they did something different there. They also did do this back section here different, because that little fin is where the ALLICON's robot mode fin kind of fits. He doesn't have that fin, so they didn't need to do it. So they just gave him a little spike thing right there. Everything else, though, is the exact same. Extra paint details, though, like, for example, the spikes on his little arms here. You'll see more of this in the robot mode, but those have been painted, whereas these ones are not. Obviously, you paid a premium price for this, so you're going to get a little bit more paint detail. Like, for example, like this one has a nice metallic purple sort of finish. But all in all, I love these. This definitely is going to be the one that's going to be harder to get, because you could only get him with that set, and that's really unfortunate, because the Bailiffs were used quite commonly throughout the remainder of Transformers. Almost every time that the Quintessons were on screen, we had these guys. Of course, the ALLICONs have a great connection to that movie. Obviously, the whole Ba Weep, Grana Weep, Nittybon. I mean, you did not think I was going to do this review without doing that, right? But everything else is pretty much the same here. I mean, I even like how like you got the little extra paint detail on the little spikes on his knees. That's lacking on that. So, I mean, a lot of subtle differences that really do make this guy stand out and be different from him. Articulation-wise, it is the exact same. These little arms just swivel. There's nothing hinging or anything like that. That's a little unfortunate. This is a softer material. I really don't know why they couldn't have just made this a more rigid plastic and put in like a swivel joint there so you can move that around. Kind of sucks. The mouth can open at the upper as well as the lower joint. I love the red paint on the inside there. That looks really cool. Nothing really. Oh, he does also have his tail weapon that just plugs in right there. That's the exact same as well. So you can have him hold that. But honestly, I don't even bother using that. I just leave that as part of his tail because obviously we have his spear, which I think looks a little bit better. He does rotate a little bit. It kind of separates here, so you kind of get a little bit of a swivel going on there. The hips, forward and back, in and out. They rotate at the upper part of the thigh, bend at the knee. These are all the exact same articulation points that the Bailiff has. These are the ALLICON's robot legs, so you're going to get all of that. You get a huge joint right there, the nice ankle tilt. Again, I love that little extra bit right there. Transformation is the exact same, so you're just going to straighten that out like so. You're going to lift this, and like I said, you can see that there's the head fin that goes down. You want to make sure that you get that kind of lined up proper when you're bringing that down so it fits underneath there. So we're going to just bring that around and bring this out. You know, rotate that around like so. Separate these arms. Swivel that, and then you can do whatever you want with these. It doesn't really matter. Pull those out. Rotate that. This piece here has a bit of an automorph thing. I didn't really touch on that in the Bailiff video, but when you move it around, it kind of like tucks down already. You kind of have to help it a little bit, but when you pull it out, kind of pulls it up, which that's nice. Rotate this bit right here, and then you just collapse this up along the back section there. If you didn't, bring that down. Bring that down. Rotate his fists around like so, and there you have the ALLICON in his robot mode. Simple, but awesome. I love it. You can take this, you can have him hold it. Weapon storage, did I get that all the way? Yeah, there we go. Weapon storage is the exact same. You got these little bits. Maybe I should use this to point things, but you got those little bits right there. You can put that on either one. I kind of like the way that this looks a little bit more, just because it's smaller, so it kind of blends in a little bit better. The Bailiff's was huge, so you can put that there, and that's kind of obvious, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. But this is a great figure. He really is, and I definitely can see a lot of people wanting to army build this guy. He has all of those wonderful qualities to army build him, and realistically I could see myself getting several of them. By several, like another 2 or 3. And again, Hasbro nails it with this guy. An absolutely terrific representation of those little characters. Super, super fun. As you can see, that head sculpt looks terrific. I like how it kind of looks like they got red plastic for the eyes. That looks really cool. I dig that a lot. I still don't know how I feel about these arm screws. In the beast mode, this is the front of them. I mean, they're hidden there. I don't know. I don't like how they're there in the robot mode, though. So, I don't know. But to be totally honest, I probably will keep him in his animal form. So, I guess it's not that big of a deal. You do have these little arm things here that kind of hang out. Again, I wish that you put a little, or they put a little hinge here. That way you could put it here and then fold it back. I mean, because they're soft, you can kind of do that. As opposed to just kind of having them there, you could do something like that and just kind of tuck them along the back. I think that would have hidden them a little bit better. But really, those are my only complaints with him. Now, for the comparison, obviously, here he is, and here is his buddy, the Bailiff. Again, weapons are different, but one thing also that I didn't notice that was different is that the chests are different. That's nice. I mean, not so much these outer sections. Those are the exact same. The middle bit right here, though, are different. That's a nice little touch. Obviously, you can see the difference with the head. As I talked about, you got the fin right here. This guy doesn't have one, so you didn't need to have that fin section to hide it. But again, you got the giant spiky spire things right there. I mean, super cool looking. There is a little bit more paint, and again, like you could take this and you can tuck that back, and then you'd be able to see those a little bit better. I wish they put a hinge there. That would have been better. But all of these look really good, and for the most part, this chest section is meant to replicate the top of their head. So, like this, get this up here. So, like this piece right here is meant to be this section. So, that being said, I like the fact that they put that little extra attention to detail on his chest, but I love how those look. I think that they both turned out great and are different enough that they look like cousins. They're similar, you know, or a different race of ALLICON or something of that nature. But one thing I'm also noticing is his joints are a little bit tighter. His are, I mean, maybe so much just down here in the ankles. They're a little bit looser down there. So I wish that was a little bit better. But God, I love these guys. They're so fun. Articulation here is the same. You got the little ball joint here for the neck. You also have that little transformation hinge, so it kind of gets them going up and down. But a lot of range of motion. The fin here is a softer plastic, so it is what it is. You got the swivel here at the shoulders. You got a hinge going out, but only about that far because you got that little 5mm hole section right there, so that kind of sucks. Rotates at the upper part of the bicep, bends at the elbow, wrists also do rotate. That's nice. Come down to the waist. You can rotate that guy around. You got to lift that up and kind of get that out of the way. But that can rotate. You got hips that move forward and back, in and out. They rotate at the upper part of the thigh. Bend at the knee. You got that huge ankle. Again, all the same articulation that he had in his beast mode. Also, you know what's interesting? You bend it like that, and it's got that little gap filler. But also, you bend it like that, and it's also got a gap filler. I mean, that does a lot of gap filling. That's quite impressive. I dig that. So, really a very fun character. He's a little bit smaller. What is that? That's a little weird thing. I mean, he's a little bit smaller than maybe a normal deluxe, but I mean, we all know that the deluxes are all over the place now. But I am super happy with the guy. I think that he turned out great. Transformation back, really super simple. We're going to lift this up. We're going to rotate this around. I'll kind of pull this away from the body. Rotate that around like that. You're going to bend these arms. You got a little tab on the inside of his forearm. That's going to lock into his body. So just bend that. Angle that back. It's a little bit hard to see, but you'll be able to see it on yours. Just lock that in. Do that on this side as well. Lock. Well, I can't even see it. Lock that in. Now, I like taking the wrist. I think the instructions actually tell you to rotate those around. It makes sense. When you're doing this, you're going to pull this up. This whole section is going to rotate around. Like I said, you got a little slot on the inside there that goes into where that is. You just kind of line that up a little bit. Kind of push his head down. Help it kind of fit in there. Because you don't want it to bend that little crest. So just kind of get that there and kind of push it back some. There we go. And then you can snap that down, and then you just angle these forward however you want. I guess you could even kind of keep it way back if you wanted to have him kind of like looking like he's crawling around. But just bend these how you want, rotate these around. You can open up his mouth, do whatever you want with them. You can take this, you can have him actually hold this if you wanted to, like rebel, or you can tab it in there. Overall, though, again, absolute wonderful figure. I'm so excited to finally be getting these guys. Him, the Quintesson, I mean, with the Pit of Judgment, we also got Knaak. I mean, it's impressive that we're finally getting these guys, and I'm super, super thrilled. There's just so many good toys right now coming out from Hasbro. I'm absolutely in love. So, all that being said, obviously, I recommend picking this guy up. Multiples. Get multiples of them. He's that fun. And they all display, I mean, you can have him like this. You can have another one next to him. You can have one in his robot mode. I mean, it's just, the possibilities are endless. Well, maybe not necessarily endless, but you get the idea. But right now, this wave is hitting retail, so if you are looking for him, good luck and happy hunting. Or as always, you can do it online at places like Amazon, which is where I got mine, or Big Bad Toy Store. For those places, I'll put links right down there in the video description where you can check those places out. And you can check out availability on this guy as well as the rest of the wide range of Transformer figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would do one small thing for me. In the time that it took me to say this, all you have to do is hit that thumbs up button. And just like that, I'll shut up. Not really, but close enough. Also gotta send a huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members who, through their continued support, now more than ever, help to make reviews like this possible. And if you'd like information on how you can help support my channel by becoming a patron, feel free to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Optibotimus. Or if you want to keep all of your perks right here on YouTube, you can join my channel memberships by clicking on that little join button right down there. And finally, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.